Hi guys, this is Allison from Alley Cat Creations. How are you? Please like, share, and subscribe to my channel if you have yet to do so. And if you get anything from my work, I connect the dot an epiphany, a mind explosion. New authors to explore, new books to read. Check out all the links under the video. AlleyCatCreations211.com is where you can find full skulls, pyramids, hearts, heart frames. I have a dark one because someone asked for a dark one and then they didn't get it. Artwork. All that you could discover at my website. That's just a portfolio to look at. If you're interested in something, you want something customized, I have a freaking hair in my face. You guys can email me. That's the best way to get into me. Things have been a little bit cray-cray the last few days, so if you have emailed me and I have yet to get back to you, just give me a few. I know some people asked me some questions. I'm like trying to find out where one of my books is to get to that answer. So I hope that I find it, and if not, I'll just try to look up another resource. Yeah. Fun times. Fun times. Crazy morning. Beyond banana nuts. Running around like a crazy woman. Gosh, Viking. You're lucky I love you. Book review. The Visions of Venus. So always. This is the book that comes before this book. This, although you don't necessarily need to read this to understand this, like this is like next level shit. This gives you a little bit of a background, and there's still very good juicy information in there. Very telling of the story. I hate wires that transpired here. Really good read regardless. There are things that I didn't jaw drop as much in this one. It's a smaller book, but there, as I go through a lot of talking about this during some other videos, holy crap. It's just a fantastic story about things that we need to, it's like a blip of a memory that can help us figure out where we were. If we were in Atlantis, not everybody was, but a majority of us were. And this story gives way to the Quo channeling that I did the other day, because it's telling you in here how Stature had to stay in Atlantis and sacrificed herself, knowing where she was going, but that she was holding the frequency of light to keep the grid intact. And her husband and her son go to another continent and they lived. And how the evil did the same, and why polarity, this is now talking about Quo, why shit didn't change here after Atlantis, because the evil also fled and survived. And the polarity really didn't shift. It held light. It didn't go complete darkness. So Quo, the Law of One, the Curtis books, Dolores Cannon, even bits of a Waspy, even though I don't align with that book so much, are all kind of saying very similar things. I'm sure there's a plethitude of authors out there that are speaking similar stories. Barbara Messiniak is also very close in her description of a lot of stuff. But this goes into more of a fictitious story, even though I don't think it's fictitious. It's just written that way. And it goes through like that fall and what happens after the fall and all the people that she was working with. And then she goes into lower fourth, the lower astral realm, finds herself in fairyland, and there's still so many lessons that you could take and impart on your own self, because when we're here, we're fighting against polarity constantly. We're fighting against our emotional states constantly. You know, I've been in this roller coaster ride in the emotional state half my life, but more so being tested on a higher dimensionality, because I already feel like I'm consciously just on the cusp of fifth. And the test that I'm being thrown is not necessarily mine to be facing, it's watching other people go through it. And then being a support light, a night light, to helping hold frequency and try to see change in the head and the change in the reactions. That's hard when your boyfriend's stubborn. Children don't think I'm crazy, but there's some doubts there. But we're all going through something. I know for me right now, financially, it's getting really tight, too tight for my comfort zone. I still haven't heard yet back from the job. And just using this book as, okay, so she's dealing with her healing in this book through love instead of fear. So that's how I'm approaching things now. It's like, okay, what can I give the love to? How can I go and heal these things? The lack mentality, and not to say that it isn't real and being felt as real. It is real in terms of this illusion. It is real. You're going through it. You need money in order to buy food and to pay the bills, but it's all necessary evil to learn and grow as a human being, grow perseverance. And you see this throughout, that she does collapse in depression and she begets herself a bit and becomes very narcissistic and selfish in her thinking. She's always worried about her divine complement, that she felt separated from its other self, the male aspect of herself. And the whole story is culminating of her higher density being having to densify into this little tiny child, go to a temple, and then, oh shit, everybody else is Venusian around here. Okay, I feel great. And grow up in a human world and having to navigate around the evil that we are seeing in our world right now, the white hats, black hats, gray hats. It's the same scenario here. Nothing's changed. Just they had higher technology, they had higher abilities than we do now. So let's take what happened. That's why I've been calling it for a long time, Atlantis 2.0. We're here again. We have these forces that, space pirates, as one of the channelers called them. But we can overcome all of this. Like, it gets wild. I'm going to quote, "As the sun began to set, so did a major chapter in their lives. The old life must die and be released, like the old skin of a snake, so that the new one could become fully manifest. All that was known moved further and further away. As they turned to go into their cabin, they knew they were beginning a new adventure." So we are here in our lives during the eclipse, I saw this as the rebirth. The tower moment has happened. The dawn of the new day is here. The dawn of a new cycle, a new era, all of it is new. And it's up to us to adapt to the changes happening by our reactions, by keeping the light, by keeping the frequency within us. She is tested several times in this book to keep her frequency up, and it's been a struggle for her. So this book, with the quote channeling, and I mean so many other things I can correlate it to, she's having a metamorphosis of change. And it's not easy. It's not written as it is easy. It's, yes, a story, but insert yourself in there. She's having a hard time keeping frequency and keeping out of the human emotions that are stagnating her vibratory state and lowering her into a lower density, the lower astral. It's not easy with what circumstances and how she would have to release and forgive on a very deep level what happened in Atlantis and what happened to her and why she had to sacrifice herself. She didn't realize she wrote the damn shit for herself. And so did a couple of others. She wasn't alone. Like I said, I'm human. I'm not alone. And I'm not special. I'm just able to sift through books and kind of make it easier for other people to understand. But this is not easy stuff to even comprehend if you're just starting out. This took me years and years of research and reading and rereading a lot of books to be able to comprehend this stuff. So I hope you're bearing with me. Towards the end of the book, after Atlantis falls, I don't want to give too much away because if you're reading it, I don't really like to spoil things. I just want you to lead into the understanding of what the book is. She has a choice to make. I'm not going to tell you much. I'm going to keep it flatlined over here. But she gets to experience fairy fourth dimension. And there they get to manifest all the abundance that they want. If they need something, it manifests in front of them. And she goes through a vortex to help and guide her son and her husband at the time. And when her husband dies and is rebirthed, because time is different in fairyland than it is in earth time. Her divine complement was seeded into some prince or whatever. And as time goes on, the battle of her in her consciousness really takes like this big hit. It's crazy. Crazy. And what's interesting about what that was describing in the book, that she wanted to be around her divine complement and she was told she was going to be able to be with them in fairyland, fae. She ended up densifying herself to go to earth, even though fairy is on earth. It's just not in the same octave. It's not in the same vibrational space. She's kind of got herself stuck, and for a really good reason. But at the time, she didn't know what that reason was. Now, this in my uploads and downloads brought to me what Ra, and I also feel like Dolores Cannon, not in the same wording, states that many of us hold different octaves of vibratory genetic coding, DNA encoding. So that I came in with third and fourth and fifth dimensional encoding within my DNA. Really, they're talking about 3 and 4 because 3 and 4 is just a bridge. It's like a stepping stone to 5. So it's like almost like 3. It's a little advanced, but it's not quite 5. It's like the in-between where everybody got to get used to things, vibrations, love, unconditional love, and really emote it, not just say, I love you. No, you got to feel it to get to 5. And it's all about your vibratory state. There's nothing outside of you that's really going to change. What's going to change is your perception of what you're seeing in reality. We're going to get there, I promise, because this morning, before the girls went to school, I started this one. This woman, this author, sounds just like me. My mind is blown. Same author of this book. I got up to page 17. And I don't think I didn't mark my, there was not one page that wasn't marked up with like 1,000,005 pencil marks. Anyway, quote, yes, I have taken a body. Oh, this is a good one. But it is of an infant. And I can still leave my body in the care of his mother. Soon I will be too old, but I heard from 14, there's a guide there, that you needed me. You could hear 14 while you had a body? Yes, since my body is still an infant, a large portion of my essence is still in the 4th dimension. When I get a little older, I will need to put most of my essence into my physical form so that I could do my work there. Until then, I can enjoy visiting home as often as I wish. End quote. So this is a character that Stature was guided by in Atlantis. They all passed over, and he chose to have a human life, where she chose to stay back and be elevated in higher density to heal in a different way. Now, I've said this to multiple people many, many years ago when I was working and all the women were getting pregnant around me. And I'm like, oh, your baby's gender and all that stuff. But I'm like, your baby's not in you all the time. The soul goes up and down until it's ready to anchor its energy in. It touches home base for once in a little bit, but it's not there yet. Now, our soul, as he says here in the quote, a portion of my essence. Once you are aware, this vehicle only has a portion of your soul. Your pie chart of your soul and where it goes is in different varieties and different, mathematical percentages. Everybody has different makeups of where your soul is and where your essence is. But it's explaining that process right here in a simplistic form. If you were to make a pie graph about, okay, human, now this consciousness, you would have a bigger percentage of your chart. Then you have your spirit guides, then you have your other dimensionalities you are concurrently living right now that you're aware of, your multidimensional self. Then you have your other dimensional selves, then you have your higher self and the higher selves and the other density selves and all the other selves that are you, besides being all one with everything that's here. And maybe like a 0.7% of your soul is in everything, right? But if you were to do a pie chart, everybody's numbers would look different. But it would be interesting to fill in, even if you didn't have a percentage, like what are you aware of? What snapshots are you getting? Are you seeing your past lives? Are you remembering your past lives? Are they current lives that you're living right now, just in another vehicle? I know I have 2 that I'm aware of. It's interesting and it's really fun to make those kind of maps. But he's giving you, her friend is giving you a hint right there. Well, the author is giving you a hint right there about that. Towards the wee end of the book. She wanted to assure her loved ones that she was still very much alive and was simply changing her consciousness to another portion of her total self. So Stature took a venture to fairyland, and she ended up back into the earth life, but in a higher density form. So she still had some, but not all of her gifts that she had when she was with the fairies. And she got bounded here back again, but in a higher density sense. She was still human. Her form took human and her vibration lowered, so her abilities got lowered and she got stuck. What good reasons? And it was the time that her physical vehicle was finally going back to fairyland to meet up with her divine complement, who she happened to have a relationship with. And all this fun. I don't want to give away the book, but this helps for people who are still attached to people that they love that are dying in the process, that they're very much alive. It's just a transition of energy. I always say my parents are always a thought away. And they're already fractals into so many different things and reincarnated in other places. And I know this, but I can still think of them and their essence can come to me in a snap. There is no fearing. There needs to be no more fear. It sucks. I lost so many people in my life. It does suck. But once you understand how it works, there shouldn't be any more fear, and the suck will get better as time goes on. Yeah, I still miss my parents. I still miss having physical conversations with them. That doesn't go away. But I'm not in pain for it. I'm not suffering because of it either. I'm better off knowing that I have a better relationship with them now than I did when they were alive. They see a bigger picture. They see the picture that I find, like I always have been able to see. How different this life had been. This time she had learned to love the physical world and learned that the polarities of Earth created a deep penetration of life so that one could identify and release old and hidden resistances. As I'm getting a download. In order for us now in this vehicle to move forward in time space, we need to release the old, and it doesn't need to happen today. Like I said with the eclipse, this is just the beginning. The energies are now closed in terms of allowing new things or new things to leave. We're here. We got to purge. We got to get rid of the gunk that's within us. And once you start coming out of the place of love, like, you know, Vikings, like, I hate people. And this is like, I'm so numb at this point. It's like, it doesn't end. I'm like, it's a choice you have in your mind how to react to what is coming at you. You can't run away from your problems. And yeah, it sucks when you didn't cause a problem and it's still affecting you deeply. But we have to do the best that we can with our reactions and how we can transmute the negative into a positive. And not to say everything should be rosy and peach cobbler keen, sparkle farts. It's just to say, okay, how can this not affect me so that my vibration lowers? Because it's still going to have to be fixed. Do I fix it in a place of hate, or do I do it out of love, that I want to better my life, that I want to better everything around me and my circumstances? I can't do that if you're angry and you want to go on a rampage. It doesn't work. So if you want some background on the backstory to Reconstructing Reality, this is a really fantastic book to get your hands on. It is a lot shorter than this. You're not losing anything if you don't read this. This is giving you like a complete breakdown of so much healing, so much story, how to apply healing, how to go about doing the healing. There's methods in here, and there's a lot of juicy things that we need to know moving forward in this book. So once again, Reconstructing Reality by Suzanne Lie. If you started with this one, that's great, but the bonus is that this was the first book. That was the second. So if you're interested in knowing her backstory, the character that is playing in both books, this is really fun and interesting. There is a lot of good stuff in here in terms of dealing with emotions, the vibratory states. What is fourth density? Why are there grid workers? A lot of that stuff can be answered from here. So I really highly recommend you guys, if you have the time to read it, this is a fantastic addition to your library. This is a chunky monkey book. So I started this book this morning. I had some time after Viking left, and the girls were still like not wanting to get out of bed, but we still have time. And I just like, okay, like, what am I going to do? I'm going to take a book out. I'm a book nerd, by the way, but I don't always get to read so much. So I'm just going to read you off the chapter titles. So this is Preparing for First Contact, Landing in a Frequency Near You by Suzanne Lie, Ph.D. Now, I talk a lot about frequency and octaves, and so does Ra and Quo. And let's just say that now we have confirmation, for at least my heart alignment, that what she is writing has some hold and weight to it, because not only does the Law of One and all the books that they wrote, channeling Quo, Ra, Latui, Hatan, but you also have Dolores Cannon adding in her stuff, which is Barbara Messiniak, very similar. And there's a lot of books behind me that are have little nuggets of things in there that are all kind of connected to these books. So there has to be some weight of truth to each and every one of those books and information that they're giving you. Once again, Quo always says, you know, in the love and light of the one infinite creator, but at the same moment, like, don't trust me or believe me, you have to go within. And if I say something that doesn't hold anything to you, it doesn't feel right, let it go. Be Elsa. So chapter 1, do you see us? Chapter 2, the recovery. Transmission to Earthlings, the debriefing. The first transmission to Earth. The second transmission to Earth. The portals are opening. Arcturian transmission. Calm, grounded, and connected to the higher self. Oh, I can't wait to get to that chapter. What? Peeking into the fifth dimension. Your expanded sense of self. Merging with your fifth dimensional self. Conversation with yourself. Being an agent for the Arcturians. Sheila's story, energetic communications, quick Arcturian bulletin, the inner stairway home. Where is Charmin? The rescue, light partners with nature, Liza's journal, Sean shares, we welcome your nightly visits. Living from your core, accepting the fifth dimensional energy packages. We are you, you are us, and I am we. The fifth dimensional now. Releasing your third and fourth dimensional operating system. The return. Message from your galactic family. What reality will we create? Activating human evolution. The vision seekers. A reality is based on energy. We are always with you. If I could write a book, but I wouldn't write it from the Acturian. This is channeled, obviously. Regardless if you like to do channelings or whatever. Okay. What? This stuff is in alignment with what I receive from my higher self. There isn't anything, if I read something and you go back, you're going to find it in one of my videos that I never read this book. Before I heard Linda Good McGillis and Alexandra Quinn talk about Reconstructing Reality, I didn't know about this author from a hole in the wall. And I know a lot of spiritual people that never heard of her either. So from just based off the title of the chapters, like I said with Reconstructing Reality, it's like this woman read my mind and just like made a beautiful story about it. So in this particular book, how Ra, Quo say the service to others and service to self, she kind of goes into a twist with power over others, power within self. And she talks about the format as if it looks like a programming, how she's writing a lot of this out. Quote, by remaining in the format of fear and domination, they will have chosen to attach their lower states of consciousness to the remnants of Gaia's lower astral plane. The lower astral plane is much like the cellar of an old house that has been abandoned. This old house is being renovated from the roof down. That's this right now. That's our process right now. Quote, in other words, as our awakening ones remember to forget the lost ones, their consciousness will expand beyond frequency range of experience of those lost to the cellar, the downstairs in the house. Hence, the lost ones will remain in the lowest planes of existence, while the ascending ones align with the higher and higher frequencies of reality. Quote, this higher light will eventually engulf even the lowest astral plane, and the lost ones will need to relocate to another planet on which they will hopefully release their habit of power over, as well as their need to be a victim, have an enemy, and suffer before they can change. So once again, her information, Dolores Cannon's information, and the Law of One's information is exactly almost the same. They said when third density ends, those who have yet to graduate or be harvested, as Ra would say, would be going and reliving third density, but not here on Earth, but in other planetary or situationals outside of here, because this is moving up and they're no longer able to house third density. So those souls or those people, places, and things are going to move to another system or another planet or whatever have you, whatever you perceive it as. Now that's three different people saying the same thing. It boggles my mind. There are many invisible subplanes in the physical plane of the third dimension. Once again, whatever the Arcturians are channeling law of one, or the law of one people have sixth density entities, fifth density entities that sound the same. She talks in here about the sub densities and the octaves. Creepy. This is a good one. Unconditional love is not an emotion. Unconditional love is an energy field of love, hope, empowerment, and promise. Love is an energy field that travels in expanding cycles, whereas love's opposite, fear, travels in ever decreasing cycles. We say cycles as energy fields travel in circular patterns, as they also travel vertically and horizontally. This is a good one. Quote, when we talk about an energy field, we mean a package of energy that resonates to the same fields of thoughts and emotions. In this case, think of the word field much as a field of grass, flowers, snow, or crops, such as wheat. Everything on this field is similar and needs the same amount of light, water, warmth, and or shade. An energy field holds similar thoughts, which grow from the field of similar emotions. Unconditional love is an energy field. However, this energy field is a collection of acceptance, support, and the empowerment of loving oneself enough to openly and warmly love another. So this is just within a few pages of this book. Sounds just like everything I say. This is important. Even though we were talking about this book, same author. Quote, in this case, the great power of unconditional love would greatly assist the one who have been beaten down by the hardships of life, because there is no judgment in unconditional love. Instead, there is acceptance and patience. So how can you be all love and light and send that message out when you hate the other side? The blue button people, the people you want to put in wood chippers. That's not having unconditional love for it's just for your immediate environment. That's not everything in totality. That's here in your perception. It's all or nothing. And I made that contradiction in that big hypocrisy bullshit. I did it. I did. I was right along with everybody else until I found divine neutrality, until I figure it out that it is an illusion. It's just experience, it's soul growth. And I treat things a lot differently in the last 6 months than I've ever did in my entire life. It's not an easy process to go through. It's nothing easy to learn. And each situation you have to deal with is different, and you have to handle it differently and appropriately. We're still human, and we still have to overcome these imperfections in the world and these complexities. And the higher picture is now merging in with this third dimensional body. as Linda was explaining, you're seeing when you're going back and doing the work, like I've been saying, you're doing it through your perception of what took place and what happened to you. You're seeing it through your eyes. Where I now look at the eagle view and I'm looking down at myself from the higher dimensionality of my higher self, I am now taking the eyes of my higher self and looking down at my little 3D body, playing out what transpired that caused me pain or a situation that I had to witness and be there for. Now I'm seeing it, but I'm not just seeing it from my eyes. I'm seeing it from above, and I'm watching myself with the reactions. I'm watching myself deal with everything. I'm seeing a bigger picture. I see a bigger picture. Are you? Are you seeing that top view down? Are you looking up yet to acknowledging that self? And then are you looking down and seeing your body, you, playing out what transpired so that you can go back and heal it? Because maybe you didn't know that there was another reason for things to happen and you only perceived it to be this one reason. It's very interesting. I'm going to quote from the next couple of things because I think this is very important for everybody to capture and understand. Even though this is a book review on this book, same author and where we are right now. Quote, "Your world is on the cusp of a great change, and chaos usually precedes change. You will be all called upon to leave your comfort zone and bravely face aspects of reality that could be very challenging, in fact, frightening, to those who have never considered the fact that there are other civilizations beyond Earth. On the other hand, many people have never even considered that there are higher dimensions of reality in which uncountable societies and worlds live in peace and unconditional love. We hear you asking, when will this happen? We answer by asking, and I've said this a shit ton on my channel, when will you be ready to totally shift your perception of reality to include the higher dimensions? It's up to us, always has. You see, we will begin our landings in the lower realms of the fifth dimension. Hence, only those who have expanded their consciousness beyond the fourth dimension and into the threshold of the fifth dimension will be able to perceive our presence. As you can see from your internet books and classes, more and more people are beginning to consciously embrace a reality in which the illusions of the third, fourth dimensions are replaced with the proof that there is a fifth dimensional world as well as far, far beyond. Time is an illusion of third dimension. When we say that we are coming now, that means that you will experience that now only when you are ready. That is huge. Are you ready? You want to know when things shift? When all of us collectively come together and make that shift happen. It's up to you and you alone to make the shift. Are you ready? I hope so. I really do. So there's a lot of juicy stuff in here. Preparing for First Contact. I will leave the link in the description for both books. Highly recommend that you get this book. If you read Reconstructing Reality and want the backstory to it, I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to put this down. And all the links are going to be in the description. Guys, I hope all of you have a fantastic, beautiful, harmonious day. Sending each and every one of you love, light, compassion, grace, protection, and shielding energy. I hope everybody has a fantastic rest of the week, and I hope to see you guys on the next one. Bye for now.